Butterfly Chapter 4. The storm that hit the valley was worse than anything I had experienced before. Thunderclouds as big as mountains blotted out the sun. Lightning danced across the sky, followed by booming thunder that hurt our ears. The last leaves on the tree had been ripped off the branches, and the snow fell so heavily it looked like a white blanket had been tossed over everything. River and mud shoved the snow over the opening, forming a dome over the entrance, which gave us more protection from the violent winds. The storm howled and raged, but it couldn't reach us in here. I was the closest to the entrance. The howling wind seemed to overcome every other noise. I curled up with my back to Strike's and dozed off, lulled asleep by the rise and fall of her sides.
What was that?
I opened my eyes. In the shadows, I could see everyone facing the entrance. I could hear nothing except for the muffled wind. I let my head rest on my paws once more. And then I heard it. A scuffling. The sound of something digging. The sound of something digging at the entrance. Morpho?
Yeah?
We both spoke without taking our eyes off the entrance. How do you know the den was abandoned?
I didn't see any foxes come near here for 2 days. I watched it during the day and no foxes came to sleep.
Foxes don't sleep in their den! A black paw punctured through the snow dome, followed by yips. Mink squared her shoulders to fight, and River and Mud were cowering behind Strike. And Morpho just looked horrified. Get out! I moved as far as I could. Get out! The fox pushed its muzzle through the barrier. Its white teeth were barely a claw's length away from me, and its breath smelled of meat. Get out! I don't know what seized me in that moment, but I slashed my claws across the nose of the fox. It pulled back with a satisfying yelp. Without so much as an explanation, I leaped forth through the hole the fox had made. The fox was as tall as 2 cats, and shaking its head wildly, scarlet drops dotted the snow beneath its feet. It noticed me instantly and tried to snap up my tail. I leaped and twisted in the air and ran. I looked back only once to make sure it was following me, and then I prayed it didn't catch me when I saw that it was. I didn't worry about spooking what little prey there was. I just flew over the snow as fast as I could. I wove through cowberry patches and leaped over fallen trees. I still heard the sound of the orange devil following me. The earth sloped below me as I ran into the valley. I wasn't thinking about where I was going, only that I needed to escape. I ducked into the brush again in hopes of losing the fox. I burst through the leaves and was almost trampled by a sheep immediately. I landed hard and was left lying on my belly, but the sheep baaed in alarm and trotted away from me. It occurred to me that these giant herbivores could not defend themselves. A snarl announced the approaching fox. It leapt from the bush, mouth wide in a snarl, claws poised and ready. Everything slowed as I saw my kidhood, first hunt, and first snow flash before my eyes, there for a moment, then ripped away before I could study them. That's when the dog came. Its maw grabbed the foxes, who yelped in alarm. I wanted to move, but it was like I was stuck in quicksand. My heart drowned out the death shriek of the fox. It dropped from the dog's jaw like a stone. The dog turned to look at me. There was devil blood on the ground. It moved toward me, huge paws carrying an even bigger creature. It sniffed me, then moved on. In all my life, I have never been more relieved to have been ignored. The sheep baaed greetings in their strange language to the dog. They were not afraid. I slunk toward it. It's in a cat's nature to be curious, and I was brimming with it. It swung its head around and studied me. Its eyes were a deep, intelligent brown. It drew its pink tongue over my head and walked off. I sat there for a while, thinking. When I say gentle, you think of rabbits and moths, sweet creatures that can do no harm. But I think that the true measure of gentleness is being able to do harm and having enough restraint to not do so. If that is the logic I'm following, then the dog is the most gentle creatures in the valley. I returned to my concerned family later that eve. I took them down to the valley where the dogs lived. Mink was in awe of the creatures. When spring finally rolled around, when new lambs grazed on green clover, when bees buzzed in the new lilies, and when the mice emerged from their burrows, that was when we first saw the 2 legs, as I call them. They're strange creatures, hairless, tall, and they walk on 2 feet. The little ones pet us and feed us brown pellets. They're gross, but I appreciate the sentiment. We're no longer true wildcats. Though we hunt for our own food and sleep beneath the stars, we've been won, but we have not owned.